So what was the number? 28, 27, 29.
Which canto?
Third canto, first chapter. But the verse. Who gave class yesterday? Or the day before? Huh?
He gave CC.
Yesterday it was.
Okay, and then before? It was 28. Yay. So it will be 29 then. Kaschit sukham satvata vrisni boja. It's when you have a phone, but nobody else. Dasarhakanam adipasaste Nyamabhyasinsa chatapatra netro Nipasanasam parirchadurad. Kachit, weather. Sukham is all well. Satvata, the Satvata race. Vishnu, the Vishnu dynasty. Bhoja, the Bhoja dynasty. Dasarhakanam, the Dasarha race. Adipa, King Ugrasena. Saha, he. Aste, does exist. Yam, whom. Abhyasincha, installed. Satapatra netra, Lord Sri Krishna. Nripa asana asham, hope of the royal throne. Pariritya, giving up. Durad, at a distant place. Transgression. Oh my friend, tell me, whether Ugrasena, the king of the Sattvatas, Vishnus, Bhojas and Dasaras, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne, but Lord Krishna again installed him. No purport. Text 30. Kachittare somya sutta sadriksha aste grani ratinam sadhusamba asuttayam jambhavati vratadya devam guyam yo ambikaya drittagre. Translation. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva, and now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna. Purport. Lord Shiva, one of the three qualitative incarnations of the personality of Godhead, is the plenary expansion of the Lord. Kartikeya, born of him, is on the level of Pradyumna, another son of Lord Krishna. When Lord Sri Krishna descends into the material world, all his plenary portions also appear with him to exhibit different functions of the Lord. But for the pastimes at Vrindavan, all functions are performed by the Lord's different plenary expansions. Vasudeva is a plenary expansion of Narayan. When the Lord appeared as Vasudeva before Devaki and Vasudeva, he appeared in his capacity as Narayan. Similarly, all the demigods of the heavenly kingdom appeared as associates of the Lord in the forms of Pradyumna, Samba, Uddhava, etc. It is learned here that Kamadev appeared as Pradyumna, Kartikeya as Samba, and one of the Vasus as Uddhava. All of them served in different capacities in order to enrich their pastimes, to enrich the pastimes of Krishna. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanana Salakaya Shakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Shite Tanamano Bistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kanamayam Dadati Swaparantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Lord appears in the form of various incarnations to reclaim those who are in the mode of purified goodness. So, indeed, transcendental knowledge is in this material world since the very beginning of creation. And Krishna has made arrangements. Krishna has made arrangements through his representatives. Krishna has made arrangements to manifest his mercy in the form of scriptures, in the form of deities. Somehow or other, transcendental knowledge has been in the universe since time immemorial. And with that, there have been those who have dedicated their lives to this transcendental knowledge, to different degrees, just as different birds are flying on different levels in the sky of devotional service. So, somehow or other, we also became part of this reality. We also became connected to devotional service. That is our great fortune. Brahmanda Brahmite Guna Bhagavana Jiv Guru Krishna Prasada Paya Bhakti Lata Beach. After so many lifetimes, somehow or other, we receive devotional service. At the same time, though, material life is going on, right? And everything is still happening. The things that happen to the people in the world, they also happen to devotees. And as I am communicating with many devotees, then I see that devotees are going to the material ordeal, right? The struggle of material existence. Everything is nice and rosy and sun shines, and suddenly, boom, a little smash. That's or whatever happens. Good things, bad things, successes, failures on the material plane. But whatever may be there, easy times, hard times, Krishna remains. In hard times, though, we feel that we are becoming limited in our capacity. In hard times, we may not have the strength. When our health breaks down, really breaks down, then chanting may be difficult. It may actually become very difficult to chant 16 rounds, even for someone who has taste. When financially everything collapses, we may struggle a lot. When there's a great war, then so many difficulties are there. I have some disciples from Sarajevo who tell me some of the stories. They were young, they were children, but they had to step over dead bodies. That's intense, right? So the material world has its duality, its pleasures and its pains, and we get our share. And in the age of Kali, because many of us are not exactly having the most pious karma, we are destined to get some trouble. That's logical. Yeah, so that's material life. Meanwhile, Krishna is there. Meanwhile, Krishna is the reality. Krishna will stay. Krishna is the one thing who never goes away. Krishna will always be there. And so, somehow or other, sometimes struggling, sometimes very easily, let us turn to Krishna. And yes, whatever we do for Krishna will be to our eternal credit. Neha vikramana sasti pratyavayana vidyate swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. So, when Krishna appears, Krishna does not appear alone. Krishna appears with all his associates. Bhauni me vyatitani, Krishna says to Arjuna, Janmani tavas Arjuna, that my dear Arjuna, both you and I have appeared in this world many times, but I remember and you don't. So that is a fact. We don't remember previous lives. We forget that actually we are living beings, and in this material world we are experiencing one life after another, a long chain of many, many lives. And we forget all those lives and simply take this one life so serious. Everything that happens now is so important, so serious. Whereas really, all that is really important is Krishna. So at the same time though, everyone has material limits. I am getting older now, and as a result, I have a life behind me. I can look back at so many things. So if I look back at that life, I say like, yeah, it was nice. Many inspiring things were there. I met many interesting people. Overall, it was positive. There were a few intense moments, right? A few near-death experiences, and a few times when I was physically so incapacitated. Like, for example, when I was heavily injured in a hospital, the devotees, they brought me my beads. They gave me my beads, and the beads disappeared in the ocean of the bed. And I couldn't find them anymore. What to do? That's how it was. And I was in another realm at the time. And all of us will experience these things to some degree or other. And that is there. But there's the constant factor. And the constant factor is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna, who appears again and again in the material world, in person, through his representatives, through scriptures, along with his associates, and somehow or other is sending his mercy into this material world. And this is really what it is about. So when everything is nice, when life is smooth, sometimes I meet someone and say, they say, well, I've never really suffered. Of course, that's not true. Everyone has suffered, but maybe not so intensely, right? That they're so aware of it. Okay, that's very good. When you've never really suffered, that is very good. Then you can use the time and the energy for Krishna consciousness. Yes, now in youth, now that there is still some youth left in us, I still have some youth left in me. I'm not totally old and decrepit yet. So now that there's still some youth left in us, and some of you, there's a lot of youth, right? Some of you are all youth, a big ball of energy. At that time, when you are a big ball of physical energy, there is only one problem: the mind and the senses. Manasastra nindriyani. Constant, every moment being plagued, every moment being harassed by the mind and the senses. That is the one issue. Otherwise, everything is very favorable. There's endless energy, and one can use it in devotional service. There is nothing that will delay our opportunities. As you get older, the physical situation sometimes gets difficult. The mind gets more peaceful. Yes, that's the funny thing. When you're young, the body is great, but your mind is disturbed. When you're older, your mind is great, but your body is disturbed. And what to do? That's material existence. So, tatenu kampam susamiksamano bunjane vatmakritam vipakam. That we have to tolerate such things. Ritvakva purvam yuvidadam namaste yumukti pade sadayabhak. Because if we tolerate, we become dayabhak. We become the rightful heir to the mercy of the Lord. So we're living for the mercy of the Lord. So let us earn that mercy of the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is certainly described as causeless, but at the same, that means that it depends on Him and not on us. And yet, by our actions, we can attract the mercy of the Lord. So, best is we use our time in that way. And that we do something that we can do in Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavad Gita, there is the famous 12th chapter. And the 12th chapter is about when you cannot do. If you cannot follow this, then do that. That is basically a series of verses that if we cannot follow the entire process of devotional service, then an alternative is given. Yes. So, yes, it is there. One can always do something. Something to remember Krishna. Smartavyam satatam Vishnu vismartavyo najatu sit sarvavidini sedushur etiyor eva kinkaram. To somehow or other, always remember Krishna, never forget Him. All the rules and regulations of the scripture are serving that purpose. That's it. So, here we are seeing that there are many great personalities that appear, not only expansions of Krishna directly, but also Lord Shiva and then expansions of Lord Shiva. So there are many, many great personalities in the universe. There is an order in the universe. A particular order means a particular arrangement by the Supreme Lord to secure transcendental knowledge. And the Lord makes sure that that order is maintained. We see paritranaya sadhanam vinasya sudhiskritam dharma samstarpanatya sambhami yuge yuge. We see that the demons sometimes are attacking the demigods. And for a little while, it appears that they are winning. But then the Supreme Lord somehow or other intervenes and restores the proper order. That spiritual knowledge will have the superior position in the universe. Even in the age of Kali, it is said the age of Kali is not happening in the whole universe. The age of Kali is particularly happening on this planet. In the heavenly planets, it's not the age of Kali. They don't have that problem. That's what we are having here, the age of Kali, and whatever goes on. So, in the age of Kali, the madness, there seems to be no end to the madness. Right? I mean, it's like, sometimes people want to talk to me about the world situation. This morning someone wrote to me and said, like, I want to understand, is it that just now we are in a situation where the whole world is at a tipping point and just before a great fall? Yeah, that could be, but I can't understand what's going on because I can't see. I can't see on so many levels. I can't see what's going on. There are many people who are in power, who are doing things. I cannot see what they're doing because they're doing it behind the scenes. I can't see. There are demigods. They're doing all kinds of things. They have enormous powers. They can solve our problems just in a snap. Right? The oceans are polluted. What are we going to do? Stop going to school. That is one solution. Yes, but maybe not exactly something that's going to fix it either. But for the demigods, it's easy. They can just fix it like that. Right? So, but I cannot oversee what they're doing. I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing. Right? They're doing something, but I don't know what it is. Yes. So the demons are at work, the demigods are at work, and ultimately there's Krishna. And I have no idea what he's doing. I don't know. I mean, yeah, a little bit, a general idea what Krishna is doing, Krishna's purpose. Okay, I understand. Krishna's aim is to increase devotional service. His aim is to increase transcendental love. That's all there. But how he's doing it and what he's exactly doing, I don't know. So that's why I just lost all interest in trying to understand the material world. Science also is such a thing. Right now there's like science, Science is the solution. And then America puts Dr. Fauci on the screen, and it's science that's going to save us. I'm not sure. I don't know if science is going to save us, or if science is going to destroy us, or what science is going to do. I have no idea. But one thing I know is that science doesn't have the answers. They don't have the answers. They may have some answers, but the ultimate answer is not. So long ago I lost interest in science and I just turned to Bhagavatam. That's something, because it describes another reality. It describes something parallel to the world that I'm in right now. But it's parallel and it's just, it's going on its own. The spiritual world doesn't stop. It's still going on. Krishna's pastimes are going on. The devotees are worshipping him. It's all going on. His agents are present in this world. The order in the universe is there. In the higher planetary systems, demigods are living, and the The kinnaras are flying around and their wings make the sound of the Samavedas. Above there in the Janamahar, Tapalokas, great sages reside, and they are chanting Vedic hymns constantly. And one can always hear transcendental sound vibration. Lord Brahma on the topmost planet has a deity, a particular deity that just appears before him. So Lord Brahma is also doing deity worship, but in Brihad Bhagavatamrita it describes it's not just a deity like we are having, some form that is carved or cast and then installed and placed on an altar. No, he has a living deity. He has a living deity. So what can we say? Lord Brahma is such a special soul, very intimate associate of the Lord. So this is what is really important. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta spoke about bringing out a spiritual newspaper. And he said, and why not? If they can bring out a newspaper about one town, then can we not bring out a newspaper about the Tripat Vibhuti, right? About the 3/4 of the spiritual reality, right? And here's the Ekapat Vibhuti, the material world. So we get all news about the Ekapat Vibhuti, right? Just now, in this country, there's a flood, and in that country, there's an earthquake now. And in this country there's COVID, very bad. Very bad. And in that country it's summer, and in another country it's winter, and and on the North Pole winter means 6 months no sun, and we can go on and on and on. And I know someone who is a PhD in bats, and he spent his whole life studying bats, right? And it's okay, bats, right? Maybe as a kid he was into Batman, I'm suspecting. Anyway, he got into bats. That became his mission in life, to find out about bats, and he knows everything about bats. Well, I'm glad that it isn't me who is the expert on bats. I was in Mayapur, and I was part of the master plan committee in Mayapur. So we are working on a master plan for Mayapur, and we did some work on it because the master plan had to be changed because suddenly, due to government permissions, they decided to put the TOVP in the middle of the park. Right? Originally, there was a place elsewhere in the fields where Prabhupada had installed the deity of Ananta Sesh for constructing the temple, and it was sort of meant to be constructed there. But then suddenly it changed because the government would not give building permission only on the land that was registered in the name of ISKCON, and that meant where the existing buildings were. So the temple went right in the middle of the park. Boom! Well, that upset the whole plan for Mayapur. So we were making a new master plan. Then one day, they invited a PhD, an expert in water management. And for 3 days he gave us seminars, and we had to attend. And I remember how he was speaking, what should be the diameter of the pipe, what should be the slope of the pipe, so that the solids and the fluids are moving through it as one unit. And I was sitting there and thinking, what sinful activities have I performed? What offenses have I made? that I have to hear this instead of Krishna Katha, right? Anyway, I started to think of, I guess it's Vaishnava stool, right? Start to think of all my transcendental stool stories, Rishabdev, and the stool that smelled like roses. Anything I could do to make it more transcendental, that experience. But for 3 days, a seminar on stool. Oh, gosh. And here's this PhD. The man is an expert. He knows his ... He knows. Can you imagine? What a life, right? What a life. To dedicate your life to that. It is a good thing. It can be dovetailed. It can be used in the service of Krishna. So, all good. But thank God that I didn't wind up in something like that. I am just an uneducated fool. What to do? A high school dropout. Yeah. I have no diplomas other than my swimming diploma. That's essential in Holland, there's lots of water. That I got. I could see the point of that. But I survived, right? On the strength of Srimad Bhagavatam. The best years of my life were in Vrindavan from 1978 to 84. Because in those days, Vrindavan was very traditional. We had one telephone and sometimes it would ring. Really. Sometimes the thing would ring, and then if you pick it up, you'd hear on the other side, hello, hello, hello. And you'd also go, hello, hello. And that was the conversation. You couldn't speak about anything else. And that was it. We had a post office in the Gurukul building, and I don't know what they did with the mail, but whatever you sent from that post office never reached. I don't know if they just took the mail and threw it in the Yamuna, I don't know. And then, and if anybody sent you mail, it also would never arrive. So, there was no phone, there was no mail, snail mail, email didn't exist, right? I never got a letter from my mother, and I couldn't write to her either. The safest way would be to put a note in a bottle and throw it in the Yamuna and chant, in the hope that it might arrive somewhere. That was telecommunication. It just didn't exist. Jai. Imagine. No telecommunication at all. Nothing. No, not possible. Yay! And now we're living in this world, we're living in this world. It's constant. It's vibrating in your pocket. It's just a pest. And behind this pest, this machine, are lovely people. That's the problem. There are all these nice people behind it. So, therefore you tolerate the thing. And then it gets you. And it becomes addictive. And then you have to just... And waste so much time. A garland. Thank you so much. I used to have an allergy for flowers. It's getting better. Anyway, so my point is life was so simple, and there was just no opportunity to get distracted. It was Vrindavan. Krishna was everywhere. And life was austere, and that was favorable for Krishna consciousness. So that was the best time, because in those days, We had no newspapers either. We had only Bhagavatam. What to do? Want to read something? Well, I guess it's got to be the Bhagavatam. There's really nothing else. There's nothing else here. Nothing else. The only thing to read was the Bhagavatam. Well, okay. So that is very nice. That is the idea that we get rid of this complex way of life eventually. We are using computers to get rid of computers. We're using cars to get rid of cars. We're using technology to drive technology out of the world. We just want to go back to worshipping Krishna and accepting Krishna's arrangement, and return to village lifestyle where there's time. In a village, like in the village you meet someone and it's sort of like in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. It's just 3 times you meet someone. It's not like we'll meet at 9:45. Oh my God, it's 16 to 10. 9:45. Right? No, nothing like that. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, like this. That's village life, not this stress about time. So eventually, sometimes we think we have spiritual problems, but maybe we have material problems. Maybe we're living a lifestyle that is so far away from spiritual life. And if we would live a lifestyle that is closer to spiritual life, that would be better. That's why Srila Prabhupada set up alternative communities, alternative temples. But we lacked the maturity to take care of them. We didn't have the maturity to care for people. We were made in charge of temples when we were young, and we thought that, we had to pay bills, we had to make sure that the building was protected, and it seemed, and we put the project before the people. That's what we did, because we were overburdened by the stress of the project. It wasn't easy, to pay all these bills and to look after all these things, and so many things to do, and legal, it has to be government inspection. It's like complexities. Buildings need to be maintained and repaired, and something breaks, and we have cars and buses, and people roll the bus, and so many crazy things are going on. One brahmachari wanted to drive. He had no license, but he was big. He told the driver, "I want to drive." The driver said, "No." Then he just beat up the driver, and he took the bus. 2 kilometers after, he rolled the bus. God. Madness. So, sometimes you think, is this a temple or an insane asylum? What is it, People ask me sometimes, what's it like to be a monk? What's it like to live in a monastery? I say, I have no idea. No idea. I don't know, All I know what it's like to live in a Hare Krishna temple. And that's something extraordinary. Yes. So, but besides all that, besides the whole material side of this movement, which is still immature, which still needs a lot of care and a lot of adjustment. And we are responsible. We need to mature. We need to actually become representatives of Krishna. Krishna, who is full of love. We have to become full of love and kindness. Love of God is not just something ethereal that is up in the sky. Love of God is something that has to come back down to the ground. It's one thing to pray to Krishna, to chant 128 rounds, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, deep and full of bhakti and tears streaming from our eyes. It is one thing to quote a slok between every bite at breakfast and to just be absorbed in sadhana and in Krishna consciousness. That's one thing. And it's one thing to be attached to Krishna. And it's another thing to bring that attachment back down and to just bring it down to the level of living beings, of people, and to the world that we live in. That's something else. That is maturity. Prabhupada says in one lecture, Aham savasya prabhavo mata savam pravartate iti mata bhajantemam buddhabhava samanvita. He says that when you love Krishna, then you also love Krishna's creation. Yeah. He said, just as when you love body, you also love finger. Yeah. So the creation is Krishna's creation. It's part of Krishna. So then we love also whatever. So then automatically we love all living beings. We automatically love the environment. Everything, if you love Krishna's creation. So love of God includes everything. This is what we see in Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada certainly was the most ethereal. You know, like in 1975, a debate came up because Srila Prabhupada had named deities in Delhi Radha Parthasarthi. So some people said, Radha Parthasarthi? Isn't Parthasarthi the chariot driver of Arjuna? So how can it be Radha Parthasarthi? Huh? Radha, Partha is Arjuna, chariot driver. Radha Arjuna chariot driver? How does this work? How is this possible? Isn't this like contradictory rasas? Kurukshetra and Vrindavan? And then so finally someone got the courage to ask Srila Prabhupada. Right? And Srila Prabhupada, we don't understand this name. Radha Parthasarthi. How is this possible? Because it looks like contradicting rasas. And Prabhupada said, no. He said, wherever Krishna is, wherever he is, even on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Radharani is always with him. So you're like, whoa. That was very deep. That was a very deep vision Prabhupada had when he said Radha Parthasarthi. You know? So Prabhupada certainly has the deepest transcendental realizations. And yet, Prabhupada was so accessible as a human being, so directly ready to deal with everything. And Prabhupada told stories about his life, and when he was a kid, he was stealing money from his mother's purse to go to the Charlie Chaplin movies. And that endears him to me. That makes him, because I used to do it too. And so that makes me feel like okay. He was also human, right? Just human, you know, like, thank God, he was not just superhuman, he was also human, right? And yet, so superhuman, so extraordinary, so absorbed in the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam was just his reality. That was it, the Bhagavatam. We didn't go to the moon. They didn't go. Why not? The Bhagavatam. I saw it on TV. We all saw it. I was glued to television. I saw the first man on the moon. Oh, yeah, well, it was live. It was live cameras. We were watching it. Yes, they were jumping on the moon. Yeah, we saw it. You know, this weightlessness and all this. We were watching it, huge jumps. Amazing. I mean, we saw it. We all saw it, and it was amazing. The whole world worked together, because as the space shuttles were going into orbits, it went out of the reach of NASA's radar, but then the Russians would cooperate. The Cold War overcome, mankind united when we set foot on the moon. This was the glory of the human race. We now set foot on another planet. I saw it. We all cried tears. It was emotional. It was like, really, it was like, it was something. It was something like we felt like kumbaya, we're all together. It's like, this brought us all together, the glorious moon landing. And Prabhupada said, it's all hogwash. What? What? I mean, Bhagavatam. Just the Bhagavatam. So, dear devotees, this lecture, which you may wonder, what was this all about? In case you didn't catch it, I tell you what it was all about. It was about the Bhagavatam. It was about reading the Bhagavatam, and that the Bhagavatam is the constant reality, and that around it there is this other reality, and that other reality, the temporary one, is not going to wait for you. Oh no, it's going to happen to you too. Life is not going to be what we plan it to be. It's not. It's not, what am I going to make of my life? What it's going to be, life is going to happen to you. That's what it's going to be. It's going to happen to you. As it happened to me. And so it happens, the sage says. There's a blog from Ravinder Sarup Prabhu called So It Happens. You can check it out. It's nice. Because he's wise. And so it happens. So we'll see what happens. But one thing is for sure. The Bhagavatam stays. What a relief. Something to hold on to. Something that is fixed. It is Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's only one problem. We never read it. Any questions, any comments?
Thank you very much for amazing and entertaining and empowering lecture. I have like one thing that I'm trying to understand, as you said, like this material reality and how to always think of Krishna while in material reality. So let's say we have a situation when you don't have any income.
Yeah.
You should take shelter of Krishna.
Yeah.
And now at that point we take shelter of Krishna and just waiting something to happen, not doing enough about it. So how do we...
No, I didn't. That doesn't mean... Taking shelter of Krishna doesn't mean that you don't go get a job. Taking shelter of Krishna means that even while you get the job, or try to get the job, and it doesn't work, but you still remember Krishna, whatever happens. So dealing with the material reality and depending on Krishna doesn't mean that we do nothing. No, we have to deal with the material energy, whatever it is. When we're hungry, we have to go and get something to eat. In Japan especially, not only in Japan, but you have a lot of these people that have a total fear of going out. And I forgot the name of it, but it has some psychological name. But it is a psychological syndrome where people are afraid to go out of their room. If everyone says it at the same time, then all I hear is Acapulco. Exactly. I mean, no wonder I can't remember that. I mean, boy, that's something. That's worse than Sanskrit. Cola Pope, I don't know what she said. But whatever it is, that you're in your room and you can't go out, not even to buy something to eat. And they literally starve. They starve because they can't go out. They're hungry, but they can't go out. It's not possible. And if you don't bring them something to eat, it's like it's over. They die. Yeah, you don't have that problem. When you are hungry, you go get something to eat. Yes.
So if we are doing a project, making a project, trying to get an income, trying to do some preaching or something like that, and you're still thinking of Krishna constantly while doing each and single small thing, you're just trying to always have in mind that Krishna is doing this, we are just serving Guru Maharaj and this. So what is how to do this, doing project and thinking of Krishna?
We're not only thinking of Krishna, we're also investing in our Krishna consciousness. So we need to take care of our material things, but we also need to take care of our spiritual life. So we're investing in our Krishna consciousness. Thinking of Krishna is the beginning. To always remember Krishna, to never forget him. Now we must invest in that. What do you have to do to always remember Krishna and never forget him? Well, we have to hear about him. Otherwise we will not remember him. We have to chant his holy name. We'll have to do some service for him. You know what I'm saying? It's like that statement, to always remember Krishna and never forget him, has a lot of consequences. We'll have to do a lot of things. That is the point. So we have to invest in our Krishna consciousness. That's what it means.
And so it's a result then.
Yeah. Yes.
We know very well what is duality of material world. That this is bad and good and bad. But I was reading that is in other kind of duality. This is that we thinking that a spiritual world is separate from material world. This is other kind of duality in the material world. I think that we can see from your lecture.
Well, in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, there is a reference which says that when we see beauty in the material world, that we should see it as the smiling face of Krishna. Krishna gives us that, right? So when I read that, it was for me very important, because otherwise, I was living with this is Maya. Right? This is all Maya, So always watch out. Krishna, 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 Maya. Maya is everywhere. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, 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 Maya is all pervading. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram. Constantly protect myself from Maya. It's all Maya everywhere. But then, when I read that, I started to say, hey, I can actually see Krishna in this world also, because it's his energy. But so on the cover of the first canto of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada describes that there is a corner of the spiritual world which is covered by some illusory energy, and there living beings who want to forget Krishna, they can reside there. But it is still a cover of the spiritual world, but now covered by some illusory energy. And then we get a connection with matter. We get a manifestation of elements that is only temporary. So here we are in these temporary bodies and living in a temporary house, driving in a temporary car, having temporary children, and having eating temporary things, having temporary money, everything temporary, right? Temporary in the prairie. That's our life. So, and it's very strong. It's very strong, I mean, I was 23, I lost both my parents in the same year. And I knew, now I have no one I can call. When I'm far away and I'm in trouble, there's no one I can call and say, hi Mom, I'm stuck. No one. I was alone in this world. Help. I was scared. The temporary, it's overwhelming.
But still, Krishna is present in every person, in every.
Yes, but it's not easy when you are. We say that now, but when you're in the ICU, then it's not. Then it's more difficult. Like that, isn't it? Yeah.
I had a question about, I was rereading Krishna book recently, and there is this story when Krishna Balaram went to Sandipani Muni's school. And they said, among other things, they learned how to subdue their desires. When the desire that is not, auspicious, how to subdue those desires. Could you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, when you read that, what to make of that, because obviously Krishna and Balaram, all their desires are transcendental, right? So it looks like an external discipline that they were taught, this time as if they were ordinary persons and needed to learn the things that ordinary persons have to deal with. We have to deal with desires that are linked to material enjoyment, and we have transcendental knowledge, and we can see that these desires are false and are not going to bring us anything. There is this cartoonist, who makes this, and he made these animations, and he shows like, a new phone arrived. The phone, the phone number 8, the phone number 9, the phone number 10, the phone number 12, the phone number 56, the phone number 99, the phone number 1001, and the whole flat is building up with empty boxes. And each time he's got a new phone, and a new one comes out, and then he throws it away. And it's like, so, yeah, all these false desires. We know we have them. And whatever it may be, So it's like, even wanting a child, I want a child. Like, yeah, kuchiku, right? Nice. No, I'm giving an example, like even something like that. That child, you don't know what you're going to get. You have no idea, I mean, that child may not even be your friend. Could be your enemy taking birth as your child, especially to give you pain. You ever thought about that? Possible. Or if it's a child conceived on Saturday night in the back of the car, you might just get one of the friends of Lord Shiva, one of those ghosts who take birth as your baby. So even a child, like a child, we are caretakers of a child. It's an independent soul, and we just temporarily are taking care of this child. The child is on its own destiny. All these things are part of the temporary world. So it takes a lot to let go of the temporary world. So Krishna and Balaram learned it. We gotta learn it. It takes good luck. I'm working on it. Okay, I thank you. Even this class is also temporary, so we can end it now. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai.